It's Stephanie from The Well Doing Mama. I am the mom of 8 kids, ages 20 down to 4. We have homeschooled for the whole time. And today I'm going to share a walkthrough review of The Good and the Beautiful Level 2 Math. We really enjoy The Good and the Beautiful Math. I have used a variety of math over the years. We started with Rod and Staff with my oldest, and it was very thorough and very time consuming and written for a classroom, not written for a mom who had lots of little ones around. But we totally did it, and it was very thorough and got us a good solid education. We later moved to Schiller Math for one of my kids because she just was really struggling with math, and Schiller Math is very, very hands-on. I love it's supposed to be a Montessori approach, and it has lots of manipulatives, lots of hands-on ideas. I loved it for a teaching way of me learning how to teach math concepts, but the way it was set up was really awkward for teaching our kids, especially when you have more than a couple. Very, very teacher intensive, very little for them to do on their own. So we did that for a few years to get us some background on it. And now The Good and the Beautiful Math. I'm trying to think if we use something in between Schiller and The Good and the Beautiful. I was thinking there had to be something in between there, and I am not thinking of it. Maybe not. But The Good and the Beautiful came out a few years ago with their math, and we got it once they updated it to the Simply Good and Beautiful Math. So it doesn't have all the pieces that the original one did. And I really, really like it. It starts very gently. It is a spiral approach. So you're introduced to concepts, but you're not expected to learn them right away. So I give help and assistance, and it spirals through. And by 3rd to 4th grade, it really picks up the pace. And honestly, in 5th and 6th grade, we mark out some. We don't do every single problem. But I really love how it starts very slow and gentle, but it picks up the pace by late elementary school. And I'll tell you, my kid that's in 4th grade, I was like, I don't know how she's going to do with this math. She loves it. She loves watching her videos. She's able to do almost all of it on her own. And I would not say she's like a way above average student, but she is doing amazing with it. And so I'm super, super happy with it. So I'm going to turn you around. I'm going to walk you through it a little bit and just show you what it's like so you can make a choice of whether it might work for your family. Okay, so here it is. I have it sideways. That's not super useful. And here's The Good and the Beautiful Math 2. Now, I don't think it any longer comes with the wooden box. I think it comes with a paper box because people complain about the wooden boxes. And now people are complaining about the paper boxes. I was looking. Here we go. The clock broke right away. I don't care. I don't love this regular clock. We use one of these clocks because when you move the hour hand, you move the minute hand, it moves the hour hand, and you can see how it works that way. So we've just used these. These actually came with the Schiller Math we used. And I actually at one point I still have a really big one. Probably don't need the really big one anymore. But this just sits on my desk when we need to do clockwork. I just pull it out. Okay, so in the math box, now it has these cubes. I added these. Came with some coins, lots of money, these stars with numbers on them. I'll show you what those are for. I love the activities with those. Oop, that one goes over there. That one goes over there. Has some little planes. It often tells you to use a specific one. My son likes to pick which one he wants, and these are arguments I'm not going to have because I don't care which plane you use. Has a 10-sided dice, and then it has these. This is a fraction dice. This is super cool. I love the game you play with this. So you roll this, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you take turns rolling it, and so you roll them, and if they match, you get a point. If they don't match, you don't get a point. So it's a really fun way. Okay, so those match, I would get a point. Fun way to practice fractions. Now let's get into the book. So let's look at the table of contents. I will tell you, we tear pages out of the book as we go through it. So the very first pages are not in our book because I tear them out as we do them because it's easier for my 2nd grader to work on them, and it's fun to see our book get smaller. We're getting ready for lesson 16. So that is where we're at this year. There are 120 lessons in the book. At every 30 lessons, there we go, there is a review, unit assessment or unit review. And that is a great way to see what your kid has remembers and maybe what they need extra help with. It is not meant to be some huge test or something scary, but it just gets them in the idea of like, hey, do I really know this? So we are going to turn. So here it gives you every day. It gives you a little bit of mental math that you're supposed to do. So using the clock, putting down those times, pointing to the quarter of the hour. There's a lot of skip counting in there. Let's see what else. That one is clockwork. This one is AM and PM. This one is skip counting by threes backwards. This is some mental math. Writing numbers in the thousands. Days of the month. Poem. So I think, okay, so that probably gives you some idea of the different types of mental math that it gives you. And so we do that little piece. Then it even says here, read to your child. And it tells you what to read. And you're teaching the lesson. You don't necessarily have to read it word for word. Sometimes I read it and say it differently. But I love how they show them here how you're going to be doing this. This is doubles addition plus one, which is a little weird, but it's teaching a way of doing math quicker. My brain doesn't necessarily work this way, but my husband and at least one of my sons does. Like they naturally think this way. So I think teaching it to kids is kind of a fun little way for them to learn. And if it doesn't work for their brain, they've learned it, but it's not something that we're going to drill in until they can't stand it anymore. In the end, my goal is that they can do addition. And so it has like the new lesson material and then a little more on the new lesson material. And then it has, they say independent review. My current second grader still needs a little help focusing while he's doing this. So sometimes he'll do it on his own. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, why don't you work on this a little bit while I go switch the laundry, while I start lunch, whatever little task I might need to do. And by starting lunch, I'm like half a step over. So I'm not far away or anything. And so that gets him started on it on his own. And by the end of the year, I assume he'll be doing this on his own. What was nice last year is my third grader last year would do her independent work whenever she had time in the day. And then we would go back and do the lesson. Because the independent review is not, you don't have to have done today's lesson to do the independent review. So if you have a kid that's kind of ready and independent enough to do this, they can do this whatever time of day. And then you can teach them when you have time. So because I still have younger kids, only one younger than him, but I do have a younger kid, this allows him to do this on his own if he wanted, and then come back and do this with me later. He's not quite to that point, but I think by the end of the year he will be. So an example of another one, this is time. We've already done time. See, it says part 2. And so it's more information on time. And then here we're going to be adding double digits and learning how to carry things over. I love that when they teach this, they give them this little box to start with to help them visually see to do that. And then, okay, now we're going to do ordinal positions. And now we're doing greater or less than. Now we're doing double subtraction and creating patterns, counting coins. What it does, because it's a spiral approach, it works its way. It teaches something. So here's time part 3. Now we're doing time again. It teaches something. It introduces a concept. And then there's be a little bit of review on it. So we did time, for instance. Let's go back. Trying to turn the page back. It's not working. Okay, so this lesson is on dividing groups of coins in half. But we'd already learned how to count coins. So now one of the independent review activities is counting coins. We did this before. So now we have an independent review of doing that. If they need help, just help them do it. It's not a big deal to help them. And then they're still learning and they grow from it. So a spiral approach, it introduces something and then it'll put a little bit in the review and then it'll come back and do the concept a little deeper and come back and do the concept a little deeper. They're not expected to master a concept the first time it's introduced. They're just getting introduced to it. And so I really like the spiral concept for this rather than like a kill and drill kind of concept where then after you do it, you forget what you've done. If you want that, Matthew C is totally that way. And so that's really an option for you. But I like how this just introduces a concept and then you review it and then you'll dig a little deeper later. One thing I do keep in the back of this book is a hundreds chart. I just printed this online and I keep that for him because I think it's useful when we're counting or learning to skip count sometimes to have it. Now, these logic puzzles, I love these. And that is what these little stars are for. And it tells you what stars to pull out, and then it gives you clues of how to arrange the stars. And you have to figure out from the clues where to put all the stars. It is a really, really great introduction to some logic puzzles. And we love logic puzzles around here. So again, we get into some measurement. Is that one? No, that one doesn't have an independent review. Oh, I guess this is the independent review. More measurement. The lessons overall do not take that long. I would say maybe 20 minutes, even with the independent review most days, if we're staying focused and on top of it. That definitely is not taking a super long time in second grade. Now, third grade, it ramps up a little, but they're able to do that independent review really independently at that point. Fourth grade, it really ramps up, and then fifth and sixth. But the sixth grade book is equivalent to pre-algebra. I'm teaching both the sixth grade and Saxon pre-algebra, and they definitely overlap quite a bit. Okay, subtraction with money. And then here's one of those unit assessments. And so here's some things that you're supposed to ask. And then they do the purple sections. And then if they struggle a little and need extra help, they'll do the orange. I will probably have this child do both sections because he has the ability to do both. And it'll just be a little extra review for him. And so that is the Good and the Beautiful Math Level 2. We're learning polygons. And I really have seen how well it's worked for my now fourth grader and even my now eighth grader is doing Saxon algebra after having done the Good and the Beautiful 5, 6. He did Saxon 1/2 or pre-algebra. And now is in Saxon algebra. And I mean, he is just going away with it and barely misses anything. So the thoroughness of this math and into fifth and sixth grade, the thoroughness of it, I just really enjoy. And I like seeing the progression. This son has done it all the way through. He started in kindergarten and he's done it all the way through here. It has definitely been the favorite math of mine that we have done. And I like the gentle start, but then the increased as they get a little older. So I hope that is helpful for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for joining us today. Please leave a comment if you have something else you'd like me to talk about or you have any questions. Please hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos about what we do.